well down to the southeast. But what we're focusing on right now is these tornado-warned storms heading on to Dodge and Fond du Lac counties. Beaver Dam, you still have time here. Around 6:30 is when we expected that to arrive. Fond du Lac 6:40, but areas before that, until 6:45, that is when this tornado-warned storm does expire. But that doesn't mean we're done with it quite yet, because there's still plenty more juice with this system. This cold front's only entering southeastern Wisconsin. This is the start of it. Between 6 and 8 p.m., areas northwest have the best chance of that severe weather. But then later on tonight, between 8 p.m. and midnight, that's when it's going to transition back over to southeastern Wisconsin, closer to Milwaukee. So we're only getting started here. So right now, western Fond du Lac, northwestern part of Dodge County, and it's not really until probably 8 to 9 o'clock do these regions start to calm on down. Now, broader storm reports, we have gotten storm reports of hail, damaged trees, big time backups in terms of traffic on the interstates farther in the western half of the state. Wayville seeing at least also a tornado report, damaging winds. That's going to be the theme here. Strong wind speeds. When we measured that gate-to-gate wind shear, it was 70-mile-per-hour wind speeds at that time, and that's still just moving over Cambria. Now, it doesn't look like quite the return, as strong a return as it was earlier. So that's what, 50 miles per hour to the west of it, now 36. So if anything, maybe 80, maybe even 90-mile-per-hour wind speeds sustained. And this tight of a couplet, we're likely getting at least some kind of upper level rotation. Well, is it reaching the surface? Radar indicated as of now, no confirmation on the ground. But if you are southwest of Murchison, especially northeast of Cambria, please head indoors. Make sure you're in a safe space. If you're out ahead of this system, start to prep now. Make sure you go follow through with your severe weather plan. Timing out this track one more time. Randolph has until 8:16, 6:30 for parts of Beaver Dam, 6:40 for Fond du Lac. So we're kind of adjusting this to the most recent pathway. Fond du Lac and Beaver Dam does have a little bit of time. Still 6:40 for Fond du Lac. And as this broader track, this is a large system that's not looking like isolated cells at this time. We're going to keep watching this front of it. That's where the irregularities are. We could easily get some brief spin-up tornadoes. And based again off that rotation product, looking at the velocity differences, this is exactly what we're going to be watching for. The greens and reds indicating differences in wind direction. That's where we're seeing that counterclockwise rotation and pathing, showing that path one more time. East Whoopin, Fox Lake also seeing that potential for tornadoes. So head indoors, especially if you are northeast of this cell. We'll continue to see at least this storm warned until 6:45 once it is expired. Right now it has produced at least radar indicated wind speeds over 80 miles per hour. Hail, damaging winds are likely with it, but not to mention we are seeing this tornado-warned storm working its way northeast. The most western part of Fond du Lac County, northwestern part of Dodge County, that's where we are right now. Milwaukee, well to the southeast of all this activity, but that changes later on tonight. As we get closer to 8 p.m., that's when more of us start to be included in this region, because this line stretches all the way from Green Bay down to southeast of Baraboo. So this is a very broad stretch, and as of right now, exactly within that region that we expected these storms to pop on up, because it's feeding off all that moisture and heat that we had earlier today. This right now is causing damage in terms of hail, wind. Already seen some reports of tornadic activity farther west. But as this boundary keeps pushing on in, due to all this rainfall, it's going to be very hard to get visual confirmation of a tornado, because a lot of this is going to be spin up on that leading edge of the storm. So right here, we're starting to see a little bit of a bow, irregularity along that line, likely is where that current system is. Now, they haven't extended that warning northeast yet, but I still do think there is something at least on that ground. Can we switch over to that correlation coefficient, AJ, to take a look to see if we're seeing a debris signature? That's one thing that we might have to keep an eye on as this heads northeast. Now, it's just passing north of Randolph. Doesn't look like we're seeing much, well, I suppose to that, well, let's play it through one more time here. Possibly seeing at least some debris. Does that look like we're seeing any kind of indicator debris, AJ? So that's probably just backscattering on the radar. So that's a good thing. If we're not seeing any blues, all right, we don't want to see blues and tight knit balls. That's likely indicating at least debris. But if we switch back over to velocity product, there's still broad rotation within this mesocyclone that could be producing at least a tornado. There's still that chance. That's why this is warned until 6:45. And so we still got a little bit of time here. That's where that rotation is. That's just what west of Fox Lake. In a broader view here, the western part of Fond du Lac. This tornado warning expires at 6:45, also includes Dodge County, and then a broader view here where Milwaukee is well to our southeast. But we're only getting started. Between 6 and 8 p.m., areas can expect that chance of a tornado as well as severe weather, severe thunderstorm activity as it heads farther southeast. Though we do expect this line to lose intensity. It's going to start to lose a lot of instability, one of its big fuels to increase, at least produce those very high clouds. But this is still causing some very strong winds and heavy rainfall as we speak. So one more time, taking a quick look at what's going on in Cambria, pushing northeast. There's still that couplet, still that difference in at least rotation. Now it's getting broader, so that is a good thing. Doesn't look like it's quite tight as knit, but some upper level rotation for sure. But is it reaching the ground anymore? We did look earlier where we're seeing at least, we get another spot of possible rotation just west of Columbus now as we speak. So that's another thing. Now we got 2 to be worrying about here. And just earlier, only about 2 hours ago, we had 4 tornado-warned storms on the ground in the western part of the state. This is not surprising at all that along this line where there's some irregularities, or there's going to continue to at least be a chance of some radar going out. So now we're taking a live cam. Josh, can you tell me where this cam is? Appleton. So Appleton, Wisconsin. We're very close to Green Bay. That is another tornado-warned storm farther northeast. So that is just pushing south or southwest of Green Bay. Appleton seen right in the heart of it. So where this activity, it's been reaching the entire part of the state. La Crosse started things off, and now it's reached from Green Bay all the way down to Madison, where there's at least a tornado-warned storm or a severe thunderstorm going on. We are kind of now waiting still for it to reach Milwaukee, but the tornado-warned storm that just pushed into western Fond du Lac, northwestern Dodge County just got started. This is the potential with this cold front. There's a stark difference in temps. Behind this cold front, a good 20, 30 degrees cooler. In front of it, we're in the mid-90s. Wind speeds excess of 70 miles per hour have been indicated by a radar. And now can we go back to that at least tornado-warned storm, AJ, till 6:45. That's when that expires. Along this line, we've gotten down trees, large hail, damaging winds. But what I'm concerned about right now is these 2 cells now forming up. There's another irregularity forming down to the southwest, and we're watching for the differences in wind direction in the upper atmosphere. It is still at least very impressive to me that this is held together so long. It's a very organized line, let alone getting straight line winds with it, but it's very easy to see brief spin up tornadoes along this. So the rotation has broadened, thank goodness there, but now we're starting to see another section of possibly some upper level rotation. Could be seeing at least tornadic chance there. Now there's currently, if I'm not mistaken, no warning for this portion yet, AJ? No? So, okay, so we're staying at least relatively good there, but that is just in the end of that tornado-warned portion. Still, parts of Fond du Lac and Dodge County, you got to stay prepared. Head indoors right now. Make sure you're in your safe place in your home, away from windows, interior rooms of your home. Even if this is just 70-mile-per-hour winds, that can be life-threatening if you're in the wrong spot of your home or apartment. As these winds rush on in, we still have time. Fond du Lac not expected to see this line until 6:42, likely within the next 10-15 minutes is when this line will arrive. You're already hearing that rumbles of thunder, gusty winds to go along with it. Heading northeast, still 65 miles per hour is the speed of that line, but until we start to see at least the calming and broadening of this system, I still expect the potential for severe weather well into late tonight. So you got to stay weather aware, and we have to stay prepared into tonight. Tom Walks, of course, is here. He's helping us with the coverage. AJ is keeping things calm on the computer. Tom, do we have any latest information from the National Weather Service you'd like to kind of add to this coverage?
So, Eric, I think you really hit the nail on the head here in terms of that extra area of rotation.
Okay.
We want to emphasize here that we don't have any confirmed reports of tornadoes. You've done a great job.
This is all radar indicated so far. So if we could go back to that rotation, AJ, at least right now, this is all radar indicated. It's starting to broaden out quite a bit, Tom, if that's what you're seeing too.
Yeah, look farther south, though, west of Columbus.
Yes.
That would be my greater concern at this point. But like you said, that is not warned into Dodge County.
Not yet. That is the end of that current warned storm.
Correct.
South
So
southwest.
we'll see if something changes there. If that rotation continues, then we're going to have to really watch Beaver Dam, for example.
Yeah, so Beaver Dam, you're going to be pretty much up next. 6:35, I believe, was your time frame of when we will see this line arrive. So that's not until 6:27. Fall River, Columbus, and Westford. Beaver Dam, 6:38 now is the timing, but again, give or take 5-6 minutes, we could see at least a little variation in that. But as this cell keeps working its way northeast, 65 miles per hour has been kind of the consistent storm pattern and speed. I think you're right, Tom. This is a lot tighter rotation, at least compared to that cell farther northeast. As it continues to head to final, it doesn't mean it still can't get damaging winds and hail with it, but this is some good news if we're starting to see it lose a lot of its structure. But just west of Columbus, please keep that in mind as we get into the next 15-20 minutes as it starts to approach Beaver Dam, because around the next 35 minutes, that's when we do expect that to come on in. Now, hail-wise, serious hail going on as well. So this is at least ½ an inch in diameter. So if you're looking at things, at least a quarter, you want to move your car under some kind of shelter. If you're out ahead of the system, do that now. If you're in the immediate vicinity of Fond du Lac County, the western portion of Fond du Lac County, Beaver Dam, downtown Fond du Lac, head indoors, be in your safe place in your home, away from windows and weak walls. Interior and the lowest part of your home is the safest place to be. We talk about this every single year. We always hear heartbreaking stories of people that do not heed that advice or can't get there in time. Now, as we look at the timing of this, we still have some time to head indoors. Beaver Dam till 6:39. So there's about another 10-15 minutes there, but you need to be letting people know as well. Loved ones close to this situation. This is a strong and organized line of storms. Within it, we're seeing some embedded rotation. Right now, it's focused mostly to the southwest. So Fountain Prairie, just northwest there, is going to start to work its way, at least storm motion northeast, 45 miles per hour. That's going to work its way to Beaver Dam in the next 10-15 minutes. That's where the most tight-knit rotation is. That differences in color, maybe even south of that too, seeing possibly a left mover, but overall. So the gate-to-gate wind shear, almost 90 miles per hour, if not a little bit less than that. So we're seeing likely at least some upper level rotation, but if that's reaching the surface, we'll keep a very close eye on it. But can you just play through that, AJ, one more time, the last 15, 20, 30 minutes? So looking at how this has kind of evolved, we are seeing at least that rotation. I'm just worried a little bit farther south there. I'm not seeing much, but overall, this has been at least a pretty active line, and we're looking for irregularities, areas that allow the downdraft and updraft to separate and creates kind of a natural vacuum effect, so to speak, or almost backwards vacuum effect, where that broad rotation is just northwest of Columbus, heading northeast. Beaver Dam, head indoors. Make sure your loved ones are indoors, somewhere safe, and be away from windows and exterior walls, interior parts of your home and underneath the ground. Now, the broader picture where Milwaukee is still well to the southeast. This activity is only in most northwestern counties as of now, but this whole line has a history of producing tornadoes and damaging wind speeds. It's already created quite the mess in the western half of the state. As it approaches us, this line stretching from Green Bay all the way down. Can we take that Appleton cam one more time just to kind of show you? It might be actually blue skies over you now, but there we take a look at Appleton. Thank you, Josh. Lots of activity going on in Appleton. Not seeing any particular areas of rotation, but once those storms move on in, they'll be moving on in a hurry. Wind speeds well over 80 miles per hour indicated by at least radar. We have not been confirmed with confirmation, any photos or videos of tornado activity quite yet. But what's going on farther southwest, Cortland now just north of that close couplet of at least rotation, still working its way northeast, and also Columbus now too. So switching now over to what we're looking for debris signature. The reds are indicated rain, a uniform form of hydrometeors, just a fancy way of saying what's in the atmosphere. We're looking for blues, so areas with larger than raindrop, at least objects in them. And right now we're not seeing that. We're seeing some greens. That's in the front end of the radar. So that's another good sign. But the broader view of things, there is a history of tornadoes with this line. And anything with that history, it can easily spark up and ramp up and pick up in intensity. So everything that's going on to our west, still plenty of at least indications of downed trees, large hail, even tornadoes viewed just west of Green Bay. We have another confirmation of a tornadic system. Haven't been confirmed quite yet west of Fond du Lac and Dodge County, but they are still under a warning until 6:45. So we do have the city of Valley, a thunderstorm with some wind damage confirmed. Have we had any confirmation? So we haven't had quite any, at least in the icons, indications of damage closer to southeast Wisconsin quite yet. Tornado observed. AJ, can you collect just what occurred just west of Green Bay? Is there any information on that? So Navarino observed tornado touchdown, Navarino. So I'm not too familiar with that portion near Green Bay, but again, this line, if anything, we actually have just as much instability as Green Bay does at this time. So we could easily see a storm at least pick up that intensity. AJ, can we switch back over to that radar as it starts to enter parts of Fond du Lac and Beaver Dam? Thank you. So looking at to our west, severe weather is inevitable if you live in Fond du Lac and Dodge County. Right now we're watching for this portion of the storm. You're seeing that little bend, a little bit of a hook echo, but not quite as well. It might be producing some rotation as we speak to that portion, the most northwestern edge of Dodge County. That's that little sliver. Now, from my eyes, it does look very broad. I'm not seeing a very tight-knit area of rotation in that velocity product, but here's another Green Bay view of that product. Now, they did have a confirmed tornado not so long ago just west of Green Bay, seeing lots of heavy rainfall. I mean, it's looking like the middle of nighttime right now when it is not 6:30, so we still have plenty of time before sunset. So very dark conditions caused by at least those storms. This line organized from Green Bay all the way to the southwestern part of the state. Now, what we're seeing, these storms, this storm front continues to work its way northeast. Tom, is that storm front still 65 miles per hour?
It is, and Eric, what's interesting here as well is what's happening here is the rotation kind of comes and goes, right?
Okay, yeah.
On this line. AJ, if you could zoom out just a little bit, because watch this, Eric, as we look farther to the south, see just within the last hour, all those cells starting to build. So a lot of folks in the Milwaukee area saying, what about us, right? And this is going to be, as you mentioned a few minutes ago, 8, 9 o'clock, somewhere in that time frame, as these cells make their way in. So for the Milwaukee area, what we're watching for in particular, I'll step on screen here for just a moment. What we're watching for in particular is going to be this area here in the southern and southwestern part of the state for the Milwaukee area. Now, this is a linear storm, but they're individual cells within the line. So we're getting this rotation. It's radar indicated right now, northwest Dodge County, western Fond du Lac County, and that's why the tornado warning is in effect, but it's kind of coming and going, if you will. So we're not seeing anything overly alarming that's consistent with rotation. You'll have it in one spot, then it will jump to another part of the cells along the line. And that's what we can see here. They're just kind of the reds and the greens sort of back and forth. There's nothing on here right now, at least, that I would say is overly alarming that's jumping out at us. But as Eric said, basement, lowest level of your home, get as many walls in between you and the outside as possible. If you're in western Fond du Lac, northwest Dodge counties, just to the northwest of Beaver Dam, take this storm very seriously. Everybody else is, I think, going to get strong winds out of this. That's the main threat out of this right now. Again, Brandon, Ripon, Waupun, Fox Lake, you are all in this tornado warning, and you need to be in your shelter. But the good news is no reports of tornadoes. It's radar indicated and kind of weak at that, kind of murky, Eric. But again, that's kind of the latest that we have in terms of the rotation.
And I like what you mentioned there, Tom, too, is because we're going to be keeping our eyes southwest of this. All this activity is kind of seeding into each other and becoming this very broad line. And we're looking for those discrete individual cells that Tom mentioned to the southwest to still be impacting us later on. But what AJ zoomed in on here is quite the organized structure, looking almost like a little bit of an S there. So you're seeing some enhanced wind speeds behind this, but Also, along that kink, you can easily see a brief spin-up tornado. But as Tom mentioned earlier, this rotation right now is quite broad. We're not seeing any tight couplets of that counterclockwise rotation near the surface. It's possible the elevated portions of these storms, you are seeing some rotation, but right now we're just not seeing those individual cells. And I think that's echoed again by the National Weather Service hasn't expanded any tornado warning at this time. But breaking down that storm timing, Fond du Lac still looking around 6:45, so you're still around 15 minutes. Make sure, loved ones anywhere in this direction, you do not want to get caught outside. Yes, if you're a dad, you might be tempted to take a video of some of those storms moving on in, but make sure you're in a safe distance and well away from that system, because this tornado warning is in effect until 6:45. Has not continued any farther east, but we're only getting started. This line stretching from Green Bay all the way down farther southwest. Just west of Green Bay, there was a confirmed tornado. But AJ, if we can take a look southwest a little bit, southwest of Madison, if we're going to see any more activity pick up severe potential, it's going to be southwest. A lot of these individual cells, that's actually a good thing for severe weather. That means that downdraft isn't going to be washing out the updraft. Keeping them separate is key for supercell formation. And as that cold front keeps rushing on in, it's got plenty of fuel for the fire. Temps in the mid 90s to lower 90s still are not all that uncommon. Lots of moisture in the air. Our dew points are in the 60s and 70s, making me sweat like crazy. But by the time we get into tonight, still going to see plenty of that severe potential while that daytime heating is going to start to subside. So all the way from Green Bay down to Monroe, still quite organized line, and that's going to help actually increase our chances of just seeing damaging winds as this line gets more and more organized, but still have yet to see possibly a couplet now forming. How is Beaver? Well, this still looks pretty broad, but we're seeing a wind direction difference of 48 miles per hour, possibly closer to Beaver Dam, closer couplet. So we just saw our tornado warning. Do they expand that? A severe thunderstorm now is stretching throughout almost all of Dodge County now. So they do expect at least damaging winds along this line. Can we get one more measure of some of those wind speeds right here, AJ? Looks like, if anything, 46. But between the differences of that and what we're seeing just north of Beaver Dam, that is easily an 80-mile-per-hour wind gust that could be sustained with that right over Rudolph. So now 60 miles per hour, there you go. So radar indicated damaging winds possible with this line. Just about its way to move into Westford, Fox Lake, Beaver Dam. This is going to be some strong wind speeds moving on in as we speak. Tom, do you have anything new to add to that?
Yeah, so this is good news in that at least the winds have come down a little bit, as you mentioned. So about 60-mile-per-hour winds out of this system. Now with some small hail possible as well. It looks like it's, as we talked a minute ago, how the rotation is kind of more diffuse out of this. So I think what we're going to see happen in the next 10 minutes is that tornado warning will be allowed to expire, given the fact that they've now just kind of blanketed for a severe thunderstorm.
So the broader damaging wind concern kind of takes over for that individual storm.
Exactly. But now the threat is not over, and for the rest of southeastern Wisconsin, I think for the rest of the night, we've got to see what happens right over there to the southwest. So that's going to be the concern, but I really will stay on with you here for the next couple of minutes to make sure that this warning is going to expire. But at this point, I'm not seeing anything major tornado threat out of the warned area at this point. Now it's 60-mile-per-hour winds, heavy rain, things like that.
Absolutely right there, Tom. So Beaver Dam, if anything, that's the region that's seeing the strongest wind gusts at this time. And we pointed out earlier, over 60-mile-per-hour wind speeds moving in one direction at a very quick acceleration can damage a lot of things. But as it heads northeast, just keep in mind parts of Whoopin as well is going to be next in line to be seeing some of those stronger wind speeds just northeast of Beaver Dam. The broader view, though, there's just not tight-knit rotation anymore, so that is a good thing. If this warning does expire, which we do expect it to, at 6:45, so we still have another 10 minutes you're going to have to deal with this here. Likely going to have at least this warning expire heading northeast. So if you're in Beaver Dam, just be careful out there. Please be indoors, somewhere safe. You do not want to be caught outside when this rush of wind comes on in. Now, what we're seeing is this bulging of this line. Heavy winds, damaging winds are associated with it. And as it heads just south of Murchison, it's going to continue to produce the potential for a tornado. But that's the western part of Fond du Lac County, northwestern edge of Dodge County under that tornado warning. But that severe thunderstorm warning has been stretched farther southeast. So what are we looking at now?
That's it looks like potentially a shelf cloud there in Oshkosh. Kind of hard to tell based upon the direction that we're looking. Well, clearly we're going to be looking. Well,
we can at least see the outflow boundary within that.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a very strong thunderstorm moving on in. I don't know if I'd take a selfie with it. It's worth a photo, that's for sure. But that strong storm, and that was near Appleton, you meant, or Oshkosh?
That's Oshkosh.
Oshkosh.
Quick update, Eric. The tornado warning is going to expire here at 6:45. So again, we'll stay on here for a couple more minutes.
Okay.
But for folks in that tornado warning right now, western Fond du Lac, far northwestern Dodge
Western
County.
Fond du Lac.
That is going to expire at 6:45. The severe thunderstorm warning, you can kind of think of that's replacing it and expanding it, and that's for 60-mile-per-hour winds, in addition to some hail and obviously heavy rain as well.
So, AJ, can we just drag a little farther south, get a little better picture of where we are? So we are in the most northwestern portion of our region here. This line from Green Bay all the way down to Monroe, still very organized, but right now it's straight line winds is the main concern. So we are going to be seeing that tornado warning expire here very soon. That is good news. It's now being overtaken with a severe thunderstorm warning, which can still cause damaging winds, large hail. If we could switch over to our hail product, AJ, briefly. Hail earlier was at 2/3 of an inch, but looking here now, I would not be surprised if we're seeing close to an inch. There we go. So seeing hail sizes at least an inch plus definitely warrants that severe thunderstorm categorization. And as it heads northeast towards Beaver Dam, this is moving around 65 miles per hour still. So Beaver Dam can be expecting quite the wallop. Now, the timing of this is actually pushed back a little bit. Again, it depends on where the portion of that cell is seeing at least the strongest winds and hail. So you're going to be seeing rumbles of thunder in no time, Fond du Lac. This rain will begin around 6:45, but that portion of hail that's just now moving through Beaver Dam, that's where we're seeing that slight little S pattern. Still could get some irregularities, broader rotation, possibly brief spin-up tornadoes possible, but right now it does look like that will expire, and now it's switching over to more of a hail and damaging wind concern, because that is 1-inch diameter hail heading straight towards Beaver Dam. All radar indicated at this time. Nothing has been confirmed, and likely with that quick of a tornado warned storm, we're probably not going to get many images coming on in. Now, we did show you the scene, or what was a shelf cloud moving through portions of Oshkosh. It's safe to say that's probably the similar cloud formation we're seeing all along this front as cold air is quickly sinking down from the upper atmosphere. But the upper level air is tossing up large hail as we speak, heading towards Beaver Dam along this boundary, heading northeast. 65 miles per hour has been the general, at least, pace of this storm. West Bend, 7:18 is when that portion of the storm producing hail will arrive. Mayville, 6:55. Fond du Lac, 6:50. So take things, if you're out ahead of this, make sure things are indoors. We're talking deck furniture, potted plants that are elevated, things that could easily blow over. You do not want debris or your property becoming your neighbor's property due to how strong these wind speeds are. But southwest, that is what's next, and we're keeping a close eye on. Starting to see it line up a little bit more just southwest of Madison, but nothing has been severe warned quite yet. And I think that's just because mostly it's not producing those wind speeds, strong downdrafts, or hail. And the hail that we've seen in Beaver Dam is still very impressive, just southwest of Beaver Dam. Sorry, AJ, making you jump through hoops here to cover some of these jumps and looking back and forth. Thank you. Just southwest of Beaver Dam, still seeing at least an inch in diameter hail. Could that be close to an inch and a half, maybe? Inch and a quarter, possibly, indicated by radar? As you start getting those darker blues, those larger hail sizes, there we go, almost an inch and a half radar indicated hail. It's heading towards Beaver Dam, probably within the next 15, 20 minutes that can be expected here. So yeah, Beaver Dam, 6:57, another 10, 20 minutes to arrive in your portion of the state. But this is serious hail, well over the size of a quarter, and that's going to cause some damage to your car if that's outside. Make sure your car is covered. We're now going to be seeing that warning expire, at least the tornado warning, by 6:45. We're not seeing any tight rotation anymore, possibly west of Beaver Dam. Seeing some kind of a rotation, at least broader rotations possible, but 51-mile-per-hour wind speeds sustained, heading one direction. It's just tossing up that hail like popcorn. I mean, that is just easy for that storm to be tossing. A lot of energy moving vertically in this storm and cell due to how much instability there is at the surface. And that cold front, that's the trigger that's causing a wedge right into the lower atmosphere. But all along this line, 50-mile-per-hour plus wind speeds, that is why that severe thunderstorm warning has been expanded eastward. Western Fond du Lac County, that little square there, is still under a tornado warning for the next 3 to 2 minutes. 2.5 minutes now, so it likely will expire. So that is a good thing. We do not want tornado warnings. We'd rather have a severe thunderstorm warning, but that does mean more, at least, organized storms. Now, we do have a storm damage photo. Columbia County does look like power lines are down. If you do drive across a street such as this, do not drive through it. It is not worth it. Take the long road home. We're continuing to see images coming in from Columbia County, so that is just west of Fond du Lac County, and that is where at least the strength of the storm was likely at its peak. But that storm warning will expire at 6:45. Tom, do you have new information for us?
I do. So we're going to be wrapping up our coverage here shortly as that tornado warning is going to be expiring. But go ahead, zoom down just a little bit, AJ, if you would, down to yeah, right there. That's the new severe thunderstorm warning that's just coming out. Now, this is for Dane County. This is for 60-mile-per-hour winds. It's in effect until 7:30, so for about 45 minutes. Why don't you query those winds real quick, AJ?
That's easily over 60 miles per hour, if that's true. There.
That's going to be, about 70.
Yeah.
So that's going to be some strong winds as they make their way into eastern Dane County. So the concern for that is going to end up being exactly, Eric, in northwestern portions and western portions of Jefferson County, southern portions of Dodge County, likely after about 7:30 tonight. So that's going to be our next concern. Why don't we wrap up here when, Eric, I'll let you wrap up the coverage. You've been doing a great job tonight.
You're too kind.
As it is, again, the tornado warning is going away at 6:45, but there's a slew of severe thunderstorm warnings, and I think it's going to be even more than that as we go throughout the night as this heads into the Milwaukee area by roughly 8 o'clock tonight. The concern will be, do we see rotation or areas of rotation along that line? They've seen that up to the north, Marinette County, for example, right now. That's going to be the concern, that we could have some of these brief tornadoes that we're going to have to watch very closely for.
Yeah, so as we're starting to see more warned storms farther southwest, hail well over an inch in size, that's going to be the theme heading on into tonight. So we really appreciate everyone for joining us here this evening. We do apologize for cutting into your original programming, but good news is that tornado warned storm will expire. These severe thunderstorm warnings will continue to pop on up, so straight line winds, large hail will be the main concern now heading on to the next hour or so, but that doesn't mean we can't still get another spin up tornado briefly. It's just getting very organized from Green Bay all the way down, and now including southwestern parts of Dane County. So heading east, Jefferson, Dodge County, you're still going to be in that sweet spot till probably 8 p.m. So stay weather aware. We'll keep you covered, of course. We'll be doing cut-ins every 30 minutes while we're under this tornado watch until 10 p.m. But the good news is there's no longer any tornado warned storms going on in southeast Wisconsin. We'll keep you covered right here in the Weather Center all night long. I'm going to be tossing back to anchors in the studio.
Appreciate it, guys. And quickly, this storm system has been known to knock out power. We have 22,000 Alliant Energy customers in Wisconsin right now without power. Alliant covers kind of the central part of the state.
So as the storm obviously marches towards the east here and gets closer to our viewing area, just keep that in mind, of course, especially with the high heat and humidity that we are still seeing this evening. We, of course, will be back with you tonight starting at 9 and 10. But again, we're going to be cutting in with weather updates every 30 minutes or so. Right now, we're going to get you back on over to TMZ.